community clubs. So our club growth director, distinguished Toastmaster Guy Dawson, is going to come and lead us in this exercise. Guy?
So much love and Thanks, everyone. You know, I want you all to know how much I appreciate your contribution to the last EEC in Oxnard with all of those leads that you provided me with. I'm a big believer in motion, and you guys really set in motion all this activity that I was talking about when I gave my report earlier. You all really facilitated a lot of that activity when you provided me with those leads of potential entities that you thought might be interested in Toastmasters. I would like to have a repeat performance before I get started today, however, because when you are a club growth director or if you're involved in any kind of sales, you can never have enough contacts and leads. Details are really important, and what I would like you to do is get a piece of paper again, and this time, as I'm asking for these leads, I would like for you to be a little bit more detailed. Maybe pull out your cell phones and look for telephone numbers of specific entities, be it your job, people who you know, who represent certain organizations, where I can actually make contact with these people through phone numbers or through websites or email addresses. There's so much in details, and the more details that you provide me with, it allows me to be able to just pick up the phone and make phone calls, because that's my strength, is initiating contact with people in sales. The more you give me, the easier it is for me to get started getting in contact with these people. So if you could just take a couple of minutes here and write down other entities that you think would be interested, and please give me as many details as possible, such as the name of the organization. Even if you can give me that, if you can't necessarily give me a direct contact, give me the name of the organization. And as many details as you can give me, it will really help. And we'll take about maybe 3 minutes here and just work on those contacts. And Dan, can you go around and pick them up when I'll give you a cue in a minute. Oh, we've got cards. Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. While you guys are filling out those cards, there's something that was coming to me as I was sitting here, and I'm going to get into the PowerPoint after you've gotten done with all of this. But as I was sitting at the table, I was trying to think back to a few years ago when I was an area governor, and the relationships that I had with other area governors. And one of the things that I saw particularly early in the year, and I know I talked about this a little bit at Oxnard as well, is that you have a lot of tasks, a lot of things to learn in a very short period of time as an area governor. And I remember talking with other area governors, or your area directors now, but when I was an area governor, I remember talking to other area governors at that time and just feeling so overwhelmed and thinking, how am I going to get a club started when I have all these other responsibilities, making visits, putting on a contest, my division governor has so many things for me to do. How am I ever going to have time to start working with creating a new club? And the thing that I've learned with a couple of more years being in district leadership is that, you know, all I need you to do really is give me the contact. You don't, my job as this club growth director, you don't really have to do a whole lot. And it's that overwhelm. You know, I want to remove that thought from your head that you have to be overwhelmed by this. Your contribution to bringing a club into your area, and ideally every area director would bring at least one club into their area, your contribution can be as simple as just giving me a good lead so that I can do my job and follow up on it and create a team to get the job done. So I don't want you all to think that because we ask you to help us get a club chartered in your area that it means that you have to be responsible for that, because we have teams of people who can take care of it. Again, maybe the only contribution that you make, because you're so overwhelmed with other things, is just giving me a good lead. But in my book, that is the ultimate contribution. Wonderful. Let's get into the PowerPoint. Area and division director training on establishing and supporting new clubs, particularly community clubs, which I have a real soft spot for. I know Debbie's going to be talking later about corporate clubs. Missions and goals, which we've already been covering, club builders and the club building cycle. Describe the relationship between establishing new clubs and the Toastmasters and district mission. So we've been going over our mission already in this meeting. It's to build new clubs and continued excellence with established clubs. And we really stay in a club building process at all times. As Jamuna was telling you a couple of minutes ago, we have goals within our district to meet as the leaders of the district that are directly connected to our ability to bring in new clubs. We have to have that 3% increase every year. Yeah, thank you so much, Debby, for picking up those leads. Toastmasters International has established goals for us to achieve every year. And it's a 3% increase in our membership. This is just a part of the club building cycle. It really actually starts with Toastmasters International having this requirement of us continuing to build our district, build our divisions, and build our areas by adding clubs on a consistent basis. So anyone who's been around Toastmasters for a while knows that on occasion we lose clubs. Things happen, sometimes they're beyond our control. As long as we stay in the sales process and constantly are prospecting, looking for opportunities to bring new clubs in, we can kind of balance out some of the losses that we have that are inevitable. Anytime you're a part of an organization, you're going to have loss. Really, for me, staying in the club building process is about the continual being on the lookout for potential people who want to be a part of our organization. Identify opportunities for new clubs. That's what we're doing today. And so again, if you're an area director and you're feeling overwhelmed with all the things that you have to get done right now, I appreciate you just for giving me a couple of leads that are going to help me to be able to facilitate the process. If you've given me the lead and it's in your area where we end up putting this club, you're going to get credit for it anyway. Right? So, I mean, it's just the truth. You don't have to do much more than that. Again, I'm responsible for the team. If that's all you can get to me, I love you anyway. But I'm going to love you more if you give me some more leads to work with. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Whatever it was that motivated all of us to become Toastmasters, don't you think there are other people out in the community and in the world that could benefit from all of this that we've gotten? So that's another one of the motivators for establishing new clubs and sharing what we have with others. Build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. We've gone over that before. I mean, that's the credo of our organization, and that is what funnels into the process of continuing to build, is that we have to build as well as maintain clubs. New clubs offer Toastmaster benefits to more people, as I touched on a couple of minutes ago. Anytime we set up a club, a community club or a corporate club, we are exposing our organization to other people who can benefit. And Kay and I have been having some interesting conversations lately about how Toastmasters can solve the problems of the world. Because we do deal with a lot of things being Toastmasters, conflict. And we find ways to resolve a lot of things. And so the more people that we share this with, they are able to get a sense of what our philosophy is all about. You know, why we work so well as a volunteer organization with over 300,000 people worldwide, and every single person is a volunteer. I mean, that's a pretty valuable thing to want to share with others. Establishing new clubs provides improved communication and leadership experiences. I think I touched on that. Area and division directors have support to build clubs. As I was telling you before, if you are just someone who passes along the lead, I am developing teams to take it to the next level. So don't feel overwhelmed that you have to do this. You don't put me to work. Just give me plenty of leads to keep working. All Toastmasters expand the network of clubs, areas, and divisions. So we are, as you've seen over the last couple of years, we've begun to do a lot of expansion, particularly in the Las Vegas area, because we're adding areas to our divisions as we're working. And Kate Hollis is the extension chair for Las Vegas. She's going to be very pivotal in a lot of the team building that we're going to be doing here in particular. So we have two things that we're really working on through this expansion. One is that Vegas is working on splitting off and rebirthing and creating a new district. And something that's often overlooked, and I want to make sure that it's a point that everyone understands, is that we have to be just as diligent in taking care of California and leaving it viable and full of clubs. And that's why I've spoken with all the division directors so far, except Vanessa, and we're going to talk today. But I've been telling you all about why it's so critical that we spend a lot of time creating clubs in California as well, because when we have that split, we're going to lose a lot of strength that we've had because we've been together for many years as a district. So it's going to be really critical over these next couple of years as we're breaking away, I don't want to say breaking away, but rebirthing a new district, that we have clubs constantly being built in California in all of the divisions, and we have some divisions that have been building a lot of clubs over the last couple of years, and some that haven't been as many. You're going to be receiving a lot of TLC this year. If you're a part of a division that hasn't built clubs in the last couple of years, trust me, you're going to be hearing from me quite a bit, because it is critical that we build California as we are rebirthing this new district. Area and division directors work with sponsors and mentors. As we're putting the team together, one of the first things that we're doing, I know Monica is doing this right now, as we're launching a new club, we have to get our sponsors and mentors in place, and I'm going to be doing a presentation a little bit later more about the process of doing that. But when you're building clubs, you've always got to have your sponsors and mentors in place as part of that leadership team. Area and division directors fulfill duties and support club building. So again, to whatever extent you're able to contribute at this stage in your leadership, we're all at different phases, and I got to be with two RAs yesterday. I was with Joan and Kay, and it was really an eye-opening experience when you're with people who've been around as long as they've been around. And I was talking to them about when I was a division governor, and what I was doing was, I was running around looking for leads all the time. And so what I've had to develop in my own leadership thought process is that not everyone out there is, as a matter of fact, probably very few of you are salesmen. I've been a salesman since I was 12 years old. You don't think the way that I think, and I have to adapt to your type of thinking, because me thinking that you're going to run around and call people is just not real. Many of you, that's like the worst thing in the world, is picking up a phone and calling someone who you don't know. And so let me do it. It doesn't bother me at all. They can hang up in my face and, I just brush it off and make another phone call. So you have a team around you to take on those types of things that you don't want to do. If you're not comfortable making contact with people or making phone calls, cold calling, a lot of people, that is the worst thing in the world for you. And don't worry about it. You have someone, I'll tell you, in myself, who has absolutely no problem with it. It's just a matter of you providing me the lead to be able to facilitate the process. Serve as a contact for demonstration meetings and pre-charter information. I've already kind of touched on that. Generate interest and recruit members in new clubs. Once the interest is generated, again, we have a whole system that we move all of the entities that we're working with to the next level. So here's one thing that you can contribute if you're not into sales or marketing or anything like that. The one thing that everyone can contribute is a good attitude and enthusiasm while we're going through this development process. So again, to whatever extent you're involved in the team as we're building these clubs, the one thing that I would encourage you to do is be positive and have a good attitude about building clubs. Even if your hands aren't going to be on it a lot, just come to the kickoff meeting if you can. Encourage your friends, members of your clubs, to be a part of the kickoff meeting. Again, contribute to whatever extent you can, but it doesn't take anything to have a good attitude or enthusiasm, particularly if one of these clubs is going to be put into your area, which will help you in the goals that you're working towards, as well as the areas. Show new clubs how to hold meetings and elect officers. Once we get the team in place, it's really important that we show these, particularly community clubs, any club really, because they're starting from zero. Many of us have been Toastmasters for many years, and we assume things because it's just natural to us. We've been gone to hundreds and hundreds of meetings. We've brought people into the organization, and I think sometimes we assume that everyone can pick up on what we do as quickly as we do these things naturally. The reason why we have to have good teams in place when we're going and putting these clubs together is that they know nothing at all about Toastmasters. It takes time to learn the things that we do. Submit charter paperwork, fees, and dues to world headquarters. Many of you will not be involved in that. We have people designated to take and run with that process. Once the club has gotten all the members together, it's a very tedious process, filling out the paperwork for a charter. You want to find somebody who enjoys that. As I was talking about before, we have very anal people who are interested in doing things like that. I happen to not be one of those. However, again, we work. Oh, Debby, are you this? I didn't say there was anything wrong with being an anal person. I just said that. I didn't mean it as a negative. Detail-oriented people. Didn't rephrase that. Plan charter presentation. Meetings. I know my political correctness is not always that great, as a PR person, but please forgive me. You're all going to be a part of planning charter presentation meetings. So again, to whatever level you're going to be involved. Recruit, train, and supervise club building teams. So you'll have a team of people who will facilitate that. Receive leads from district director and world headquarters. Again, none of you really have to worry about the leads at all. Just put them in my hands and let me make the phone calls. Assist with prospect visits. However, the opportunities are available. Amanda went with me the other day over to Caesars, and we did a presentation for their corporate people. And I really appreciated the fact that she wanted to come along. It was on Labor Day, and she could have been doing a lot of other things with her Labor Day. I really appreciated the fact that she was willing to go along with me to meet with their corporate people on that day. Anyone who wants to do something like that, by the way, all you have to do is email me and let me know, and I would love to have you come along, because I know that some of you aspire to rise to heights in Toastmasters, and it's a learning process, and coming along as we do these things will really help you. Help plan demonstration meetings, so a lot of these things we're just going over. Receive leads from your world headquarters. I'm getting these all the time. What they do is they send me an email, and it has all the contact information for people who are making inquiries into Toastmasters. From that point, within 24 hours, I make a phone call, and I get in contact with the decision maker. If you're one of those kind of people who is a sales type and you want to make a phone call, my recommendation to you, if you have a strong lead and you feel like you can do something like this, is get in contact with that person as soon as possible. You've got to be quick in following up on leads. It's very critical that you get in contact with people quickly. Confirms alignment of new clubs. So we've been, again, doing quite a bit of that over the last couple of years, creating new areas, figuring out where these clubs are going to be placed. Guide clubs through the first 6 to 12 months. That is what the sponsors get the ball rolling, and then you get your mentors in. And again, I'll go into more detail about sponsors and mentors in my next presentation. Ensure club officers understand duties and how to perform them. That's us staying with these clubs to get the officers proficient, because that's all they're going to be at the very beginning. They're not going to be superstars like many of you have been presidents of clubs multiple times, served in all kinds of roles. At the very beginning, we just want to get them to where they can facilitate a meeting where it's smooth, it starts on time, ends on time. We have to show them how to do that. They will not figure it out naturally. And familiarize clubs with Toastmasters educational programs. Start teaching them the DCP. After you've given them the fundamentals of how to run an effective meeting, then I think it's really important that we start getting them into the thought process of being goal-oriented, working towards reaching the goals in the DCP program. I think it's vital that we get a club to distinguish as quickly as possible. If you get a club, you start one up this year, there's plenty of time to make that club distinguished. But you have to do that by encouraging them, fill out your books, particularly CC, people fill out their CCs because they know that they're speaking, they're giving their icebreakers, but their CL, man,